Right, so then I'll just put a puppet down for scale because it's kind of difficult to make rain the right size unless you actually have a puppet to compare to. So first I'll just make it in the kind of traditional way, the way that is taught in the paint tutorial that is in the game. So this is way too big, so I'll make it really small. Then I'll zoom out and turn on that, turn the grid, use a ruler and make it really long. Okay. Oh, there we go. Whoa. Grid shenanigans. Okay. Okay, and then make it blue. I usually make it waxy so it picks up some of the stuff behind it, or the light around it, and make it shiny. Make it the right color. And it's tempting to make it blue, but you kind of want it to be kind of grey blue at best, because if it's just blue, it's really obvious. And I reduce the opacity and give it some looseness, so it still has some opaqueness, but the lines in between them aren't so obvious. And if we just play time and put it around camera, then that means as we move around, then it kind of is just everywhere. But the magic happens when you add playback speed and pulse. Is that working? It's not. Oh, it's moving really slowly. Okay. Yeah, I find you have to make it like super fast. Make it look any good. And if I just turn off pulse for a sec. So if you have time offset, no, I think this applies to a different case, but yeah. Yeah, if you we'll see later, time offset is useful, but I'll explain that a bit later. So yeah, make that shorter so it's like individual drops. Okay. That's just not very visible, is it? Let's try adding impasto, making it fatter and more opaque. That's better. Just for testing anyway. Okay, so now we can run around and we've got some oh, that's the other thing. When you use that duplicates thing, it's oh, we'll put it on cylinder for now. Or is it over here somewhere? Yeah. So it duplicates that. I'll turn this off as well so we can see it. Okay. So duplicates. Normally it's like one strand of a single painting. If we give it these different shapes of duplicates, it duplicates it in different orientations and stuff. And you have copies, which makes more copies of that single one. And spread, which just means if it's tiny spread, it's all in the same place. If it's more spread, it's all spread out. And scale jitter is from the origin point of the painting, I believe. It scales it randomly scales each kind of duplicate randomly. So 0 is they're all the same height. If we increase it, they're all still the same at the top because that's where we started, but then they're all different lengths because it scales it randomly. Cool, so when we put it around the camera, it disappears. It's there somewhere in the distance. Because, oh yeah, because we've got it so spread out. So if we don't have it spread out, then it's like right on the camera. If you have it like that, it looks like really dense rain. If you have it further out, then it's kind of less rain in the distance. Hey Sketch, how's it going? So that's pulsing. So that's like a basic rain effect, very easy. And you add some sound effects, and that's all you need. No, there's not. You can call it something else. That would be fine. Cool. So, but we don't want that because the problem is, I'll just make this rain. You can like obviously tweak all these things to be just right and really look awesome, but I will make it so that it like is really easy to see on the screen. Just to make it easier to kind of teach how this stuff works. Yeah, so the problem with that is if I have like an inside bit or a roof or like an awning or whatever that covers you from the rain, then you're playing around and you've got rain coming inside. If I make that bigger, that technique doesn't care about like it being under cover, so then you get rain inside and it looks all weird. Then because we've got all these drips around the character, that's cool, but then if we look off into the distance, it looks like there's no rain apart from right next to us. So for that I use another technique, which is neither around the camera nor is it like individually emitted raindrops. So for this we will have it looping. Oh, it's off. There we go. So looping, and we'll use duplicates and we'll put it on a plane. So the plane, it's kind of hard to tell from the picture. The plane is like this surface. So it's a big square, and it puts a load of emission objects around there. And that's really distracting. That's good enough. Right. So we just want a big thick kind of wall of water, as it were. This is where this comes in. So if it was the time offset is at 0, then they all animate at the same time because all the strokes just start at the same time. This is give animated strokes a time offset so that they're not all completely in sync. So if you increase that, they start being out of sync with each other and go full, and then they're pretty hard to tell that it's just those strokes are staying in the same place and animating. So that's a good way of doing that. Move that out of the way. Now to move something like this is pretty tricky. So I tend to Earlier I mentioned, Gert, that to make like a sculpt and have it invisible and like grouped with it, so then even if you can't grab one of these tiny raindrops, you can grab this big sculpt. Today I used a slightly different technique, and that is using a microchip, because a microchip just has a tiny bit of gameplay thermo and no graphics at all, and it can be scaled up really huge and easy to see. So let's group those, and so I'll look at it from the top. So whoa, for some reason when you're looking down it gets real weird. So if I go like, whoa, oh that's interesting. If I just look down with the right stick, sometimes it just messes up the, like, whoa, like that, the angles and stuff. So I'm going to make it really big so that I can kind of see at a glance roughly what area it's getting. But also you want it to just be at the bottom, because ideally you want the bottom end of the rain to go kind of a little bit below that, so it's not so obvious. Also I've forgotten to do that fade in trick. That'll be good. So then we'll put that there and just see how that looks. Yeah, I think it's probably too far away. Okay, that's probably good enough. You can finesse this, of course. And then I can just clone these around like that. You could probably do it in a cylinder, maybe. I don't know. Like that. Move them closer. Whoa. It's going to take some minute for it to figure out what's going on. Like that. Now if I turn off, I think it's X-ray, then you can't even see those. So then when you want to preview what it will look like, you can go like that, and then to see the microchips you can turn on X-ray to move them around. So another in the example, if I just scope in there, I actually did a spherical or a cylindrical one, I think, just for the middle, and I'll make that smaller, and made it really spread out, so then I could find a gap that wouldn't go in the thing. So if I turn off pulse, I can see the full lines, and then I can just like, maybe increase the spread a little bit and just kind of manipulate it like that. It can be quite tricky. In the other example, in my original example, it was a smaller platform, so it was easier to find a gap. There we go. So that's past the edge there, that's past the edge there. None of them are falling inside this, but they are all like around the area, so it gives a good like sense of it not being underneath that awning. That one's a bit too far over. Move that one back. Here we are. And there again. And we'll put it onto pulse again. And play test it.